Cortiniemi has begun to claw back his losses from Michigan immediately. His win in Silverstone put him within 8 points of Hawken. 2 more wins for the Finn will snag him the championship no matter what Brandon does. Today's race at Barcelona might wind up being critical to that effort as we get ready to watch round 11 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Christian Challoner. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Barcelona is more closely associated with modern F1, but let's head to our track guide to see what the circuit entails. Welcome to Circuit de Barcelona. The home of the Spanish Grand Prix for nearly 30 years, it's easy to forget that this is a relatively recently built track in Europe. It's known for its long, sweeping corners and hosts the highest level of open-wheel and motorcycle racing. Placing an emphasis on a good aerodynamic setup with high downforce cars, it's often overlooked that it offers plenty of overtaking for lower-tier racing as well. In fact, most don't take into account that this adaptable track has 5 different layouts to choose from. These range from the nearly 3-mile-long Grand Prix version to the minuscule 1-mile club circuit. Because of the pit straight being the longest acceleration zone, Elf is the most likely spot for drivers to get it past them. After that, your next hope might be into Lakaja, which, depending on which layout you use, could be a sharpened set of 2 turns or one long hairpin with an opening radius. In the early 2000s, a chicane was added close to the end of the lap, but the old Europcar corner can still be run. The Spanish fans have some gorgeous views from the many hills dotted along the track. And with the international fame this place has built over time, it's no wonder they're almost always full come race day. Well, Christian, this place is known for being difficult to pass, but that's in high downforce machines. Will it be any easier in these Lotus 49s?
Yeah, I definitely think it actually will be easier in the 49s, especially using the historic config where you've got that run through the last 2 corners and then that huge long straight down to turn 1, and we've seen the 49 is pretty there's a pretty significant toe with it. So I do think that we'll see more passes, especially into turn 1 than we would with the modern cars. That said, I think the track as a whole is very much more suited to modern high downforce cars. A lot of the corners are well, they're flat for one, so you've got no camber to kind of help guide the car around, and the 49 is a car that kind of really benefits from that. So it will be a bit more tricky than other tracks we've gone through so far this season. And then obviously you've just got a lot of long corners as well, and without any downforce, you're just basically sliding around them all. So this will be quite challenging, and also with it being Catalonia, track temperatures are always quite hot, even in cold weather conditions and whatnot. So yeah, I think this is going to be difficult for most people today.
No doubt it will be a bit of a challenge, and we're going to take a look at the race details that the drivers will have to deal with. We are in the penultimate round, and it is 20 laps out here today. Open setup, and as we said, nothing in the way of downforce to fret about. It's all going to be in the gearing and how you set up the gearbox of that car in general. But they've got no spare car to save them. The good news is they've got a lot of paved runoff to help them out if they wind up off the circuit. They do have to worry about those drive-through penalties and the disqualification that come from too many incidents. They got to keep it clean, not abuse that paved runoff too much. So should be a fun one, no doubt, Christian. And they're already out for the qualifying, which we'll get to in a minute. And you talked about the weather here tends to be pretty warm. Well, Spain delivers. It's 110 Fahrenheit on the track right now.
Yeah, that's just going to make it honestly quite just slippery around the track as a whole, and air temp's pretty high too, so that will cut a little bit of power out of the car, and actually cut some drag out. So that's a little bit of a disadvantage for us in a way, because it does mean that kind of the draft will be a little bit less powerful. But you know, it's still going to make just driving the track really tricky. I find that this track is one where you pretty much have to set any car up to have more understeer here than most other tracks, just because you've got so many long corners, and then you got so many of these traction zones out of the slow corners as well. It's a really difficult track, both to drive quickly and actually to set up for.
Now, as for the point situation for the season, as I mentioned, Cortiniemi needs to make up 8 points on Brandon Hawken, but he's been quicker than him for much of the championship run. So will he be able to beat him these final 2 races and claim the crown? Of course, they might have somebody else take the win, and that'll complicate things even more. Tixier is basically out of it at this point. Mathematically, he could get in there, but I highly doubt that he'll be able to do that. It'll be more of a fight for 4th with Zoko, Olsen, and Sanchez still relatively close to one another. And there you can see it gets mighty tight down around 8th position as well. Let's take a look at the F2 championship, Christian.
Well, over in F2, David Rossi extended his points lead. He had a 40-point score last week. Michael Grissinger's closest competitor, only able to manage 33, so 16 back with average gaps of about 10 points. It is still kind of doable for Grissinger, but it's going to take a non-score from Rossi, I think, at this point. But the battle for 3rd spot is actually quite close. Don Peak with 10 points over Robert Obretta, and then another 12 back to Cypher. Gary Ho slipped out of contention, really had a lot of good results towards the beginning of the season, a lot of 30-point scores, but recently hasn't scored more than 18 for the past 4 races, so a little bit difficult for him down there in 6th with 10 points over Andrew Eng. And then we've got Hideki Kovista, Robert Reynolds, and Tobias Harvey, all within 5 points, battling for 8th spot.
As for the Nations Cup, since most of the wins have been going to Finland and Canada, they are far and ahead the likely championship winners for this contest, and Spain has been trying to play catch-up. United States kind of sneaking into there in 4th ahead of Singapore, with Tixier contributing the only points to that 5th position. And then the UK surprisingly far down for themselves, tend to have a little bit better showing, usually have a lot of drivers that are pretty fast in this car, but not this season. And from there, it really drops off between pretty much all the battles here in these late stages. As I mentioned, we are already in the midst of the qualifying, but we're waiting for the first laps to be set because it does take a bit to try and get around this circuit. So 40 cars should not be too compact, and Ove Trangrade amongst the first to set a time. We're still waiting on Kortiniemi, who just puts himself on pole ahead of Mick Claridge, who returns once again to place himself on the outside of the front row.
Yeah, currently, obviously, 3/10 advantage for Topi over Mick. Mick will probably be pretty happy to slot in there 2nd after some time out of the car. He's got Ove for company in 3rd and 68 for 4th. This looks kind of like past seasons right now, I would say.
Absolutely. Now, the bad news is I do not see Brandon Hawken here today. So this means that while he won't be able to clinch the championship today, he is going to give himself most likely quite the lead unless he has a horrible race today, Topi Kortiniemi. And now he just has to try and do the best he can while not losing the car, knowing that he's got basically an open goal in front of him. Haven't seen much other changes up at the top. Tixier managed to take 4th there on that first lap, waiting for about a third of the field to set a first time, checking through, and looks like a number of them did have off tracks deleting that first lap.
Yeah, interesting obviously not see Hawken in the field today, but I believe there's 2 drop rounds for the series, so Hawken obviously had a 0 for Le Mans where he didn't compete, but then his next lowest score is 51 at Monza, where he had that opportunity towards the end of the race to steal the win, and he wasn't able to do it. So Catalonia being a 0, he's effectively going to lose 4 points here.
Indeed, so won't be too bad, but it'll certainly make things a little bit harder for him than I'm sure he anticipated. And Trangrade was briefly back up into 2nd before Mick Claridge returned to that position, but Kortiniemi stretches away by half a second over both of them. Considering this is not usually thought of as a draft track, even in these cars, I wonder if it's going to be tough to try and keep up with the Finn. The rest of them continue to stream across the line. Ben Zoko with a good qualifying up to 8th here. Kane Lasky is back once again and puts himself into 7th with his 2nd lap. Watch out for Javier Mascara. He needs a good one in because he tends to be up at least in the mid-pack, and if he doesn't set a time, he's going to find himself starting from way down the order. This is Neil Kemp that we can see on screen, currently in 21st, trying to set a 2nd lap, but he's still about halfway through the first as he comes down into Vert.
Yeah, and obviously the lap being quite long, it's it's actually not trivial to get both laps in, especially if you make a mistake and you have to reset. But a lot of returning names in the list. Obviously, you've got Gwendolyn Old with a really good qualifying so far. He's up in 5th. So it's a little bit, obviously, about Ben Zoko, but we've seen him as a bit of a regular through the series. Yuri Geisen's back again, and he's in 12th right now. And obviously, Mick Claridge is up in 2nd. But it's just the same kind of thing that we've seen all season from Topi, that their qualifying performance is just completely ballistic. Like, I don't know where he's found a half second over everyone out here.
I'm not sure either. Vihavainen unfortunately didn't set a time. Geisen didn't improve on his. Frauenberg crosses the line. Second lap gets deleted, unfortunately. Neil Kemp coming around along with Gwen Olds. And Neil, let's see if he's going to be any quicker. 47.1 will be an improvement of 1 position. As for Gwen, she has improved and unfortunately not gone up in position, though. So she will stay in 5th, but great effort from the 14.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bill Tyler as well, another returning driver. We saw him have some pretty intense battles towards the beginning of the season, but I think he's been missing in action the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, not sure what has kept him away. And the last of our drivers are done with qualifying, so let's go through that starting order with Topi Kortsinemi on the pole position. Mick Claridge will start next to him, followed by Sebastian Tixier in 3rd. Ove Trangrade will start in the 4th spot. After that, Gwen Old in the 5th position will be flanked by Bill Tyler. Xavier Sanchez, only 7th for him today. A lot of talent here has pushed him backwards. Kane Lasky will start from 8th as Ben Zoko will be 9th, and Laust Olsen rounds out your top 10.
And then the other Olsen, no relation, John Olsen, lining up in 11th. Yuri Geisen alongside him in 12th. David Rossi, another good qualifying performance for him. His old-time F2 rival, Gary Ho, is alongside him in 14th as well. Then we've got Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado in 15th, with Mira Raski back here in 16th. Michael Grissinger, that's not going to help him in terms of closing that points gap. He's in 17th, with Cam Porter alongside him in 18th. And then Marcus Seifer and Jean Lehman round out the top 20.
Javier Mascara, only 21st for him. Gianluca Gabbiani, 22nd. You've got Neil Kemp, P23. After that, Robert Plumley starts from 24th. Tobias Harnvey will be in the 25th spot. Robert Obroda will be to his outside. You've got Bjorn Ackerman in 27th, Tim Porter 28th, and Mats Lind in 29th. Then it's Andrew Ang to finish out this slide in 30th.
Roberto Prangrazi, he lines up in 31st with Zach Purcell alongside him in 32nd. Then Aldrich Frauenberg, the last driver to set a qualifying time, in 33rd. He's got Will Gibson alongside him in 34th. Then we have Emmanuel Pereira, Chris Barnes, Harry Vanderlyn, Christian Arabes all the way back here in 38th, with back row Bob not lining up last this week. He's in 39th. Rene Oliveira lines up in 40th.
All right, 40 cars taking to the track, and this first corner can sometimes cause some issues. We'll see if it does as the green flag is out and off the line. It's a horrible start for 3rd place. It looks like Tixier is going to get swamped. And in fact, he's going to have a little bit of a tip with one car who goes spinning off and into the air. Looks like somebody else gets a little bit of a piece of it. But up ahead of them as they plunge into the first corner, we got more contact, and Kane Lasky gets sent around. It is a messy start. Lasky gets pointed back forward, but then runs into somebody else as he tries to recover.
Yeah, a lot of incidents. We haven't seen that for a while in the 49 series, but yeah, it all started off with kind of a bad getaway at the front of the field, and then the 8 of Olsen was having a huge incident on the front stretch.
Oh, so Tixier involved in that first one, and Lasky involved in the second. We'll try to go back to the replay a little bit later, but we got to let things settle in. Looks like Obroda goes off in Repsol, so he'll get the car turned around out of the gravel trap out there. Just loses some positions. The car looks okay up at the front. Kortsinemi now ahead of Bill Tyler instead in that second position. He somehow got by Mick Claridge there in the first corner.
Yeah, a really messy start, but it's given Bill a huge jump up in his second spot. In terms of the cars involved in that incident, we've got Pereira in the pits, Grissinger in the pits, John Olsen obviously in the pits with Kane Lasky, and then Pangrazi is making his way around the track. But David Rossi, the F2 points leader, he was involved in that, so there is an opportunity to close that gap on him, and we've still got cars going around. Neil Kemp is off at the midway point of the circuit.
He is, unfortunately. He had gained a couple positions out of that, but the car looks pretty darn damaged. Not sure if he'll be able to get it going. We had one driver take big advantage of it. Chris Barnes is up 18 positions right now. So he's doing quite well. Tixier is on his way back. He's already at least overtaken Laust Olsen and gotten himself back into fifth. But remember, started in third, so he's going to want more than that here today as they break down into the first corner here in the mid-pack. Looks like Olsen in a fight with Sanchez as we watch on screen. This is the 16 of Plumley trying to catch up to Mosquera and Lehman. So this is the battle for 14th.
Yeah, he's in a fight with that Duracell batteries car again, and that's just a huge amount of shuffle in the first lap there. Obviously, someone's gone off. I think it's Rasky.
It is indeed. Yeah, and unfortunately, when he comes back on, that will hinder Mosquera, who's on the outside of the corner. He has to check up, so wrong place, wrong time for the Spaniard, and he'll have to get out of it. So now that moves Plumley into 14th, Lehman up into P13. So as the drivers come around through Campsa once again, bit of a crest over that swift right-hander. Then it's a bit of a run down to Lakaija. Oh, and something happened to Bill Tyler. Bill Tyler's gone off. He's lost second place. This is in Lakaija, and he's going to fall all the way down to 8th, maybe 9th, as it looks like Geison's going to try to go around the outside through Bonk Sabadell. Not sure if he's going to be able to complete the pass, and yes, he is.
Yeah, that's disappointing for Tyler. Obviously got a huge advantage on the start there, and it's just kind of thrown it away.
Did he just look like, from that view there, just outbraked himself completely? Not sure if he was trying to defend. Didn't seem like Claridge was there to his inside. But whatever the case, a simple mistake has not cost him any damage to the car, but certainly precious time in a race where it seems like keeping it together will be critical to having a good finish here today. Meanwhile, this is Geisen just ahead of him, and Ben Zocco just behind him. They've also got Salgado and Cam Porter in there. Cam Porter running very well today, all the way up to 12th.
Yeah, and he had a pretty good qualifying as well. It was 18th, took advantage of the start, and has gained 6 spots. And see up there Ben Zocco with the additional cooling package on his car right now. That's probably going to harm him a little bit for straight line speed, as we've got another car missing a turn further back in the pack.
Yeah, that was Chris Barnes, just had a simple off. Don't need to go to him, as we're seeing a lot of those. I wonder if that's not going to be the end of it, and drivers are going to find themselves pushing the boundaries a little bit too hard. Porter still chasing behind Salgado to see if he can get into 11th, maybe even crack into the top 10. Great run for him as they plunge towards Lakaija. Heavy braking into here. He clears him by a long margin. Can he get the corner? Yes, he can. It looks to me like Marco gave that one up.
Yeah, it looked like he kind of knew his beat and gave it up before they kind of even got to the braking zone there. But yeah, a lot of these kind of single car incidents where we see people running deep into the turns, that's kind of what I was talking about in pre-race, that you don't really have any camber on any of these corners to help you out with them being very, very flat. You think of somewhere like Watkins Glen or whatnot, you can run pretty deep into the corner, and even if you miss the apex, the banking is there to really kind of help you out and rotate the car enough so that you don't go way off. But a track like Catalonia, there's really none of that except for turn 1. So any mistake is a huge miss of the apex. So you pretty much always end up in the gravel.
And Cortinemi is taking advantage of not only that pace advantage he had in the qualifying, but everybody else around him seems to be tripping over one another. Claridge, after losing that position early, is a full 4 seconds back, and he's not done with his battles. In the background, you can see the red car of Ove Trangerade still chasing him, hot on his heels, plunging through the downhill of Seat.
Yeah, I don't think this is too much of a surprise to us. Obviously, the massive advantage in qualifying has transferred through to the race, and everyone behind him tripped themselves up immediately on lap 1, so he was never under threat from, draft into turn 1 on lap 2. And now it just looks like it's going to be a regular race for Topi here. He's just going to drive around running fast laps and gradually pull away from the field.
Yep, he'll have to hope that he doesn't run into too much traffic late in the race. I think we've got an opportunity finally to potentially take a look at some of the incidents at the start. I'm not sure if we have the replays for those. Let's see if we've got those spooled up. Of course, the first one, I didn't see who he ran into, but Tixier kind of started. Well, he did start it. It wasn't kind of. He kind of veered across the track, it seemed, after his poor start. Let's see if we've got this one up and ready here. Yeah, here we go. So watch the red machine. Just spun up the tires, maybe it looks like?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he didn't get into second gear there, but then obviously you see him kind of coming back across, and I'm guessing that it just checked up everybody behind him and everybody was tripping over each other.
We're watching Trangrade up in front of him. So yeah, here is, I think this is after the contact. It looks like maybe he got a little loose, and that's what veered him off to the right. Maybe clipped the grass a little. And then who is this we're looking at in the red and white car? Oh, no, that was John Olsen. So John Olsen, unfortunately, with a massive hit, leapt up into the air and clipped somebody else in a big way, sending them off. That is the 31.
It was Andrew Eng.
Yeah. So there's those. And then, not sure if we're looking at Kane Lasky's incident. No, it doesn't look like we have time to go back to that one, unfortunately. But as we come back live, Salgado's still running, even though he's been overtaken by Cam Porter. He's hanging on to the back of him. Not terribly close, so I'm not expecting any sort of pass. Porter looking for a potential top 10. And Yuri Geisen is the one that he's going to have to overtake to do that. I'll have to look and see the stats of Cam, because I'm not sure if we've seen him finish as high as the top 10 before.
I don't believe that we have. I'm happy to be proven wrong on that one, but yeah, I don't think we have seen Cam finish inside the top 10 yet.
Checking our stats page to see if we have top 10s listed anywhere. That might be a very long list. And no, I'm not seeing that one at this point. So as we come back to Mick Claridge in the meantime, he is right now being challenged by Ove Trangrade as well as Sebastian Tixier. Not going to let a poor start keep him down. He's back up to fourth and has caught the battle for P2.
Yeah, and we've seen this before from Tixier, where he's kind of not had the greatest race start and he's been able to mount a really good recovery drive from it. But it kind of, I don't want to say it worked out for him, because it didn't really. Obviously, the start was pretty disastrous for him, but it wasn't as punishing as it could have been because of how many other people tripped up then when they got down to turn one.
And despite those wrecks being pretty decently sized, we've only lost, looks like maybe about 5 cars. We've lost Pereira, Grissinger, Olsen, Lasky, and I see Arribas and Abrota are also taking repairs in pit lane. David Rossi's been able to come back out. He's trying to take as many points as he can to help him in that F2 championship, but it's going to be a bit of a slog since he had to spend 6 minutes into there. Meanwhile, nose to tail for P2. Tixier getting ever closer to the back of Trangrade into the braking of Lakaja. Switches back now into Boxsa, but down a little wide, tries to square off the exit, but he definitely left himself vulnerable there, did the Norwegian.
Yeah, and throughout the field, I've kind of seen a couple of mistakes as we come through the last 2 corners. Really allows a big run down into turn 1. You see Trangrade doesn't look like he's got the greatest run there. Tixier is definitely going to have an opportunity into 1.
So as Ove doesn't go defensive, Sebastian's going to take a look. He's going to try and outbrake him. He'll get down to the inside. Can he get the car woed up in time? Plenty of room given by the 12 car, and that will retain him that 3rd spot. So Sebastian may be a bit brave here.
Yeah, he kind of didn't run Ove out so much there, and actually has put a sorry on the driver's channel. I'm not sure why. There's no contact, and he ran right around the inside curb.
Yeah, I don't think he intended to make a pass there. I think he just sent it in deep. Ove saw the writing on the wall, tried to preserve the car, is looking for a good finish here, and going to try and see if he can come back at it later. It's not been the best season for Ove. He's all the way down in 9th in points, which is highly unusual for one of our former champions in this series. But he's making do here today. I'm sure he's excited, maybe a little bit distracted, as we've got another Norwegian track coming to iRacing soon.
Apparently. So that's as much as I can say on that one.
That's totally fine. The Sherlocks of iRacing have already sussed it out, much to, well, I wouldn't say my shock and surprise, because they've done it by picnic park bench. So for them to have been able to figure out the next track by a rock is kind of interesting and a new one for me. But in the meantime, as they come around the last part of the track, you can see that damage on the front of Ben Zoko. Not sure if he even knows that it's damaged up there, because you can't always necessarily see that at the front of the car. Yeah, this is a good angle of the driver's view. You can just see a little maybe buckle there, but might not know that he's missing so much of the bodywork.
Yeah, I imagine he's got absolutely no idea, if I'm honest. I know when I've done this myself to the car, I then got out of it and was like, the whole front end was missing, and I had no clue. But up ahead, there is a fight happening, and this is kind of that 5th place battle with Laust Olsen, Xavier Sanchez, Gwen Old, Bill Tyler, and then Zoko just kind of watching on.
Yeah, Gwen usually racing over in the Lotus 79s, but has now started to show up here in this older machinery. But she's holding her own here in a top 10. That's not easy to do in this car. You got to be pretty darn skilled. And as she defends a little bit on Bill Tyler, she's also maybe half attacking on Laust Olsen in front of her. Immediately goes off to cover the left-hand side. She doesn't like that white and blue number 5 filling her mirrors.
Well, Bill's obviously on a recovery here, so to speak. He was in 2nd, and now he's dropped back behind. And I think Bill's got enough pace to get back to the head of this line. And we've seen that in the past he's pretty racy. He'll go for moves. He won't hang around. So I don't think he's going to be content sitting here at the back of this train. And Zoko he's holding on. As soon as these guys start to battle, he's going to be right there.
And to give you an idea of the level of talent that I'm talking about here, and within the top 10, your lowest I rating is 3,200. So that's your lowest there in that group. It is stacked up at the top of the field, and you almost have to be perfect out here, because everybody's going to pounce as soon as they see an opening, especially with battles this close. Olsen has got to worry, because behind him, Gwen is going to try and send it in. She gets down to the inside. She gets a nose ahead, but it's hard to complete the pass here. It's back and forth through Elf. Tries to keep it in there coming into Renault, but gets chopped off.
Yeah, Gwen gave a lot of room there, and that has allowed Ben to close up. But more importantly, Xavier Sanchez, he's gone. He's got a full 2nd almost now.
Yeah, I got to think that Sanchez is going to use this to his advantage as much as he can, try and streak away. He doesn't want anything to do with all those battling behind him. Gwen Old still having to deal with Bill Tyler, but now Bill is also having to be a chameleon. He's got to look forward and backwards with Zoko on the attack behind him with that damaged car. Oh my goodness, under braking, Bill Tyler's car doesn't look all that solid though.
Yeah, and I mean that's another point to bring up, is that with the 49, it's very different from the modern cars. There's a ton of different approaches in driving out here, and we have seen in the past where it will kind of cross people up a little bit, because everybody's out there driving the car totally differently, but somehow getting the same or similar lap time out of it. And you just got to be careful of, if you go into a corner pretty deep on the brakes, whereas the person ahead of you doesn't, you can very, very easily get into the back of them and spin them around.
Out of Bonk Sabadell and into Europe car. This old version bypasses the chicane. Takes them around 2 very fast right-handers and onto the main straight. This is where we've seen most of the passes attempted here, down into Elf. And last time Gwen took a shot at it, what did she learn from it? Is she able to overtake Olsen this time? Is she going to be more aggressive on him? Olsen's not defending. Laust is just holding his line, letting her have that inside. Maybe he feels like he can once again defend. Oh, no. They get together. The car slid. She sent it in a little bit too hard. Bill Tyler says, thank you very much. I'll take that spot in 6th. Still trying to keep from losing a second one as Gwen is on the outside of Renault with Ben Zocco now able to take that 7th place off of her hands.
Yeah, and that everybody was very, very lucky there, because normally when we see that kind of wheel-to-wheel contact in the 49, someone is getting at least spun around, if not flipped over. So unfortunate for Laus to lose out on the track position, but I think honestly both of them will be happy that they're just still in the race.
Absolutely. It's difficult when the wheels get tangled on these cars to try and keep from getting popped in the air. They both managed to survive it, but Gwen's already on the attack, trying to see if she can overtake on Ben Zocco. Zocco is a wily veteran of this car, though. He's going to be difficult, but Gwen gets the launch coming out of Campsa. Ben Dudefleet covers off the inside. Let's see if Gwen can do it with the car defending, whereas before Laust Olsen really didn't cover her. And this time she's going to be able to get to the inside, forces a mistake out of Ben Zocco, but it switches back to the inside for him, coming down through the right-hander. Still going to be difficult. 3 right-handers in a row right here, but look at that launch. Gwen Old with great traction to take 7th back.
Yeah, pretty easily drove around the outside of Ben there. I thought they might kind of get trapped 2x2 all the way through to the front stretch, but they didn't. Now, I don't think Ben's really going to get an easy pass here with the damage that he's got to the nose, but this has split the group up considerably, and I think that Laust is probably going to be pretty upset.
And we've had a battle for second. Ove Trangrade nearly got by Mick Claridge down into the first corner. Couldn't complete the pass. It's made him open to Sebastian Tixier, who is now trying to overtake him down at a Repsol and is going to be able to get to the inside. He's desperate to make up these positions. He lost at the start, but it doesn't look like he's able to do it. And Trangrade's going to be able to hold him back, but he still stays defensive. Down into Sayat as they switch back downhill through the left-hander. And it looks like that battle is now done, but that took about 5 corners to settle itself out.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about Don. I think this trio is going to battle all the way to the end of the race. We're only halfway through at this point. You see Ove and Mick going defensive down into turn 1, 2.
Now watch this round the outside. He actually almost had him. He's fully ahead. I think he just went a little too deep, had to collect the car, and Mick scrambled back up to the front when he had the chance.
Yeah, and turn 1 at this track is kind of really a weird one, because we've seen people actually be defensive both on the outside and the inside. It just seems it's difficult to actually complete the pass down there. You've obviously got the switchback afterwards, but I think that the cambering of the corner, even if you're on the outside, allows you to pinch the car on the bottom down, so it just makes it real difficult. But there's going to be another repeat here, and Mick looks very vulnerable this time.
Yeah, both times going all the way to the inside, forcing Ove Trangrade to really work for this one. But Sebastian's going to pull a trick on him and make it 3 wide. He got a fantastic run. Poor Mick is being attacked on all sides, and still he keeps them both behind. What a beautiful drive this is from the 3 car.
Yeah, I think he was about to maybe give that up right there, but then Ove ran deep again, ended up out on the greenery on the outside, and Seb, I think, was pretty cautious there on the inside line.
Seb thought he could take advantage, but both of them got caught out by the savviness of Mick Claridge, but Tixier's finally overtaken. Trangrade down into Repsol. He's into second. Can he do what the Norwegian couldn't?
Third, remember Topi's still out there.
Yes.
He's 10 seconds on the field, but he's still out there and leading.
Yes, this is the battle for second place here, and there is our leader. Got so caught up in that. In my head, I knew that was for second. My mouth decided that was for first, but this is best of the rest, and oh my goodness, look at them. They're absolutely dogfighting out there, weaving back and forth once again, almost 3 wide, getting to the inside of Mick Claridge. Could Seb get back into second where he started this race? He goes very deep into Bonk Sabadell. I think this is going to hurt him, not only losing to Mick, but he opened himself up. No, he doesn't. How did he launch off that corner? And despite being on the outside, he has made the high line work. Call this man Harry Gant. How is he doing this?
I don't know, but I like the use of the kind of the sausage curb there. The 49's got enough ride height that you can just put it straight down the middle of the car, and he's able to maintain.
Still to the outside, still side by side. No draft down the front stretch. He's going to have to do this on the brakes, and he does. He gets by Mick Claridge. He's back into second place after the start of the race took it from him.
Yeah, but I don't think that he's safe by any means. Everybody in this group looks like they've got the exact same pace.
Sebastian Tixier is going to have to work hard to try and shake these two. No doubt Claridge is going to be hungry here, coming back after not being able to visit in very often recently with his bike ride. Traveling around the world, having to take a brief break. And we'll see whether he'll be able to restart that. But Ove Trangrade behind him is currently trying to play catch-up as well. Did Sanchez just lose out to Bill Tyler? I think he did. Bill Tyler got 5th.
Indeed, Sanchez has been overhauled for that. Tyler is now trying to get away, and everybody kind of behind. Gwen has not quite got to the back of Sanchez, so Bill does have the opportunity to escape. And then it's a little bit strung out. You got Zoko and then Laust, with Yuri Geisen actually now on the tail of that with Cam Porter. So that race for that 10th spot for Cam is still on, and he's got a pretty healthy gap actually back to Antonio Lopez Salgado. He's got almost 4 seconds over him. That
was very smart on the part of Bill Tyler. He used back row Bob as a bit of a pick and got a mistake out of Sanchez. Once Sanchez went wide, he dove through, and that was it. So nicely done by him as we watch them come onto the front stretch. Is there going to be a re-attack here from Zabier? Or is he going to have to stay put where he is? You can see as kicking up dust in front of them. Ove Trangrade still chasing Claridge, but didn't make an attack this time as this battle for 5th comes down into Elf, but neither of them deviating from the racing line.
Yeah, Zabier not close enough to get the run, but Bill was a bit deep into 1, and it's kind of set him up. Someone spun in the background.
It's Geisen. That is Yuri. He's trying to get it going, and he does eventually, but many spots lost. He's down into 14th. Not sure if that was solo or if he had some help, but we'll check it out a little bit later. Meanwhile, it is still tight here. Zabier knows he lost it here last lap. He wants it back. Is he going to try and get a mistake out of him? He does. That was a little wide out of Bill Tyler. And as much as he slips up, the car finds the grip, and it's very hard to pass into Vert, so they're going to stay single file. Yeah, it's not really a passing opportunity there, but what it is doing is bringing the group back close together. Gwen is now almost kind of equidistant to Zabier Sanchez until she's just gone a little bit wide there and lost that. Someone else spinning in the background. I believe that's Laust Olsen. Oh, no. Oh, the 9 is going to lose a position. Started this in 9th place, and unfortunately is falling backwards into 12th now. Looks like that's Rasky getting the spot and Salgado getting by him. It did look like there was slight contact with the wall for Olsen, but I think he is able to drive on, so he should be okay. Cam Porter into P9 as well now, but he has fallen off of Benzoko. Oh, so, something's gone on with the timing. Topi just for a moment dropped down the boards. I believe he's okay. Yeah, it must have been a bit of a blink. He's still up there by, well, now 13 seconds. All that fighting has just allowed him to streak away from them. So Sebastian may have gotten into second, but highly unlikely in 5 laps that he's going to be able to get up to the top here. Meanwhile, down through the S's into Renault, Zoko and Old paired up. Sanchez and Tyler paired up. They're heading into Repsol. It's going to be just a bit of a downhill here as they head around the right-hander, but looks like nobody's quite close enough to try to attack into Seat unless they can once again get a mistake out of their rivals. Does seem like that's been quite a tricky one. We've seen a few cars that just slip a little wide there. Yeah, slow downhill hairpin is difficult in any car, but the 49 is very susceptible to the rear end whipping around on you in that kind of corner. As you Sanchez has dropped back a little bit there. Oh, he lost a lot. He was right on top of Bill before, but now seems like Old is a lot closer to him. They're going to get by the lap traffic, So no issues there. Hari in the 34. One of our Finnish drivers going to get out of the way. Still running in 30th, though. So he's up 4 positions from where he started. But these 3 carry on, now losing touch with Bill Tyler. Has he been able to shake them? Has he been towing them along with the slipstream a little bit? And is he finally going to be rid of them?
I think he might actually be clear now, and Sanchez is going to be under threat from Gwen into turn 1 perhaps. So I don't think Sanchez is going to be running down that 5th spot any longer.
These things do get going pretty fast. We're talking 185 miles an hour by the time they break here into the first corner. And that's without the wings to help carry them through the final turns. They are a rocket ship in a straight line without any downforce devices to slow them down there. So as they come around Renault, going to be a bit of a slower corner for them compared to some others, but they manage it nicely. They are catching back up to the back of Bill Tyler, so wonder if it's he slides the car out of Repsol and catches it, thankfully, but he's starting to push the limits.
Yeah, and I'm a little surprised actually that the Bill hasn't been able to get away, because he obviously had pace at the beginning of the race, and has come back through from the tail end of the group. So you would think being able to do that, you would actually be able to get away, but this lap is just, it's not really looked very fast, if I'm honest, and Sanchez is now back on his tail, but Sanchez has pulled clear of Gwen.
Yeah, fastest lap for Tyler is a 45.2. The last one was a 45.3, so he was running pretty hot last time by. We'll see what the lap is this run through, if he's losing a chunk, and that's slower than typical for him. But visibly, you can see that the group behind him has caught back up after he had gapped them so nicely at this part of the track even, and was pretty much out of draft range. Now he's going to give a nice little pull to Xavier Sanchez. They crossed the line. Yeah, it was about 0.2 slower than last lap, so that'll do it.
Yeah, and honestly, it looked like it was slower than that, but I think it was mainly Sanchez ran a 45.1, almost onto the back of Tyler into the braking zone for 1, and has pulled a little bit of a gap for himself over Gwen. Gwen looked like she was under threat from Zoko a little bit on that last lap too.
All this happening behind our leader Topi Kortinemi, who will get closer to Brandon Hawken thanks to the drop weeks. Brandon's lowest score, other than his 0 drops, is a 51 points at Monza. So it'll still be a decent day for him, but Ove Trangrade, as we watch him, is less concerned with the championship at this stage and is just trying to see what he can do here to get himself onto the podium past the famed Mick Claridge.
We haven't seen Mick do too many races this year, really, I would say. Obviously with his bike ride and whatnot, but the races he has turned up to, they haven't always gone to plan. I think it's fair to say, but this one's been pretty good so far.
Absolutely, it's been a nice return, shaking off that rust and getting back into it. But he's got to deal with his old sparring partner, Ove Trangrade, who he's fought with many a times. See if he can still handle the feisty Scandinavian, who loves a good battle. Isn't always all that into just running on his own. He'd rather have a race with somebody else. We've seen it in the past. He'll sometimes even slow up a bit if there's nothing on the line, just so that he can have a little fun with somebody out there. But he's having plenty of fun with Mick for the time being, and he's going to have to get a little closer to try and pass. He's not got many laps left to do it. They're going to get 2 to go next time by at the line.
Yeah, whilst this is happening, Sanchez has got a really nice run on the outside of Bill Tyler.
All right, so this carries on, and Sanchez still behind Tyler as they head into Repsol. As we watch Trangrade and Claridge come through the corner ahead of them down into Vert. And yeah, he's forcing Tyler defensive. I can tell you off screen, Tyler has been taking to the inside of a few corners that he feels a little bit susceptible. But Sanchez has got to watch out. because I know we can't see it here, but Gwen Old is right behind him, and Ben Zoko is right there as well. If one of them slips up, there's going to be an attack from somebody.
Yeah, I know like Sanchez slipped up a little bit there, but Gwen didn't really get the run that she needed to have an attack. We've seen that Zoka's pretty strong on the brakes, but no attack from him this time.
Well, no attack, no chance. So somebody's got to get dug in here to try and make a shot at it. And from what I've seen, Gwen Old is certainly feeling ready to try and make a few moves here today. Up into 7th now. Well, I say up into 7th. She's actually down 2 from where she qualified. So very, very fast today. Just unfortunately, it didn't quite work out for her in the race itself. But a top 10 will be something to hang her hat on. Down to the inside. There goes Sanchez on Bill Tyler. Tyler's going to shut the door, though.
Yeah, really half-hearted move there by Sanchez, to be honest. He kind of looked at it, but he never got alongside and kind of checked the both of them up. Gwen got a much better run through 1 and 2, but it's not going to be able to do anything with it. Tyler's just really slow off of 3, and I'm not sure why. This is the 2nd lap in a row where he's almost been passed on the outside here.
Ooh, Ben Zoko made an ambitious move, but Gwen gave him just enough space. They did not make contact. I thought they were going to. So Ben stays in position back in 8th spot and back on top of Bill Tyler once again. Xavier Sanchez still trying it. He gets a brief reprieve from Old, who backs off. And now it is 2 pairs instead of quartet.
Yep, and I think that's kind of what we've seen a little bit in this pack, is that it tends to just randomly kind of split apart and then everybody gets back together. But with only 2 laps to go, they're running out of time.
Back up to our battle for 3rd place now. Courtenay just took the white flag and crossed the line as Tixier tries to run away from Claridge and Trangrade, and is actually doing so quite well. It's up to a 2nd ahead of that yellow machine. Ove probably knows plenty of how Mick tries to race. Can he use that to his advantage? Mick, very defensive because he knows Ove was close coming off the final corner. Going to slipstream him down into Elf as they break for the turn. He's to the outside. If he can hang there, he can maybe have the inside coming through the 2nd part of the turn. No, he can't hang.
Yeah, but he's going to have a little bit of a crossover opportunity here, maybe into 4.
And as that's happening, look at this. This is Tyler and Sanchez. Sanchez got a run, managed to get a nose ahead, and he is fully passed by the time they get through the first 2 corners. Gwen Old has been able to rebuff Zoko down through 1 and 2 as well. They were side by side. It's the last lap. It's all kicking off. Everybody knows this is where you got to make the move.
Yeah, Zoko to the inside here, but he's going to put himself back on the outside as he gets to that tight hairpin. Bill Tyler doesn't look like he's got anything in response to Sanchez.
Side by side down into the braking for Seat. Old is to the inside as Ove. And who was that at the side there? I think that was a lapped car, actually. So that wasn't for position, but that'll certainly distract the 2 of them. And Topi Courtenay, who is already coming up to 2 corners to go, rather, has Pangrazi and Timothy Porter in front of him. They'll get to do 1 extra lap to sort out that position. But the sorted P1 has Topi Courtenay winning today and taking the championship lead. Great stuff for Topi Courtenay, as Tixier is going to get a handy 2nd place and just barely surviving for a podium. Mick Claridge will get 3rd today, as Ove Trangrade will be P4.
Yeah, and that battle for 5th I don't think is completely set, as we see Mick with some acrobatics at the end there.
Looks like Sanchez is going to finish ahead of Tyler. Old will get 7th place ahead of Zoko. Nice defense there from the 14. Nice attack from Ben, and kept it very fair across the line. And some credit to Cam Porter. The number 20 car finishes 9th today, up 9 positions as well.
Yeah, Salgado able to take that last spot in the top 10. Plumley up 13 spots just behind.
Bit of a battle as well for 20th with Marcus Seusser, Ackerman, and Kemp all nose to tail here at the very end. Let's see if Marcus can keep them off. And yeah, it looks like coming through the final corner, he will manage 20th. Ackerman up 6th, though, for that 21st position. And we're going to wind up with 27 cars on the lead lap. I mentioned, actually, Tim Porter, Cam, his brother, with such a good finish today. Tim not able to replicate that, but looking at least at 26 if he can somehow keep Roberto from passing him. Let's see if he's able to rebuff the Italian in these last 2 turns. He's got a good run, but no, he backs out in the short chute, heading down into New Holland. Okay, then. That's going to wrap up today's race, but we got more coming. The unofficial results as well as driver interviews are on the way, so stick around. penultimate round here in the Grand Prix Legends Series sees Topi Kortaniemi take yet another victory and put him back in the points lead, but only barely. Sébastien Tixier followed him home. He was probably wishing Topi wasn't here because that would have been an incredible drive all the way back from, gosh, I think he was out of the top 10 at the start and eventually climbed his way into second place. Could have been a victory if it had unfolded as it did without Topi. McClarridge retained a podium finish as Ove Trangerade was behind him and hounded him all the way to the start-finish line. Xavier Sanchez was the distance back, but gets a top 5. He had to fight with a lot of people, including Bill Tyler for much of this race, who finished in 6th. Gwen Old may have been down too, but she put on a heck of a show out there, fighting with Sanchez, Tyler, and Zoko, who she beat Ben, finishing 8th behind her. Cam Porter, we'll have to ask him. We do have him here. We'd love to chat with him. He finished 9th, and we're not sure if that's his best finish in this series, but certainly an incredible one for him, as Marco Salgado finished in 10th.
And Robert Plumley up 13th spots from a fairly average qualifying, it has to be said, but does come home in 11th. Lars Olsen, unfortunately, at one point was in the top 5, had a minor altercation and then an incident on his own, and unfortunately finishes in 12th for him. Yuri Geisen also was fighting for the top 10. We saw him spin at turn 1, able to recover to 13th. Miro Razgi, a couple of trips through the gravel, comes home in 14th, but I think he'd be happy with that, still up 2 spots. Jan Lehman up 5 to finish in 15th, with Javier Mascara also up 5 to finish in 16th. Gary Ho went 3 spots the opposite way and finishes 17th, and Tobias Hamby up 7 in 18th, and then Will Gibson up 15 with a really nice run by him to finish 19th and inside the top 20, and then Marcus Seifer in 20th.
Bjorn Ackerman is going to get 21st today, with Neil Kemp in 22nd. Gianluca Gabbiani, P23, will be followed by Zach Purcell from 32nd to 24th. After that, Andrew Ang was P25, and Tim Porter finished on the lead lap, but 26th. Pangrazi was behind him, the last one on the lead lap, 27th. After that, it was Chris Barnes, P28, Fraunberg, 29th, and 30th went to Via Vinen.
Back row Bob, Robert Reynolds, last driver to kind of officially finish in the race, 1 lap down in 31st. David Rossi did score a couple of points today after that start line incident, but finishes 4 laps down. Kane Lasky, Matt Slender, Michael Grissinger, Christian Arbus, Robert Alberta, Emmanuel Perret, John Olsen, and Renny Olvera all did not finish the race.
Yeah, a number of DNFs, but could have been a lot worse with that messy start. They cleaned it up later on, and the man who cleaned up by sweeping the field was Topi Kortaniemi. Topi, another victory, and without Brandon here, this puts you, I believe, in the lead by 1 point, if I'm not mistaken. This is going to be tight going into the last round. Does it make you nervous at all?
No, I was kind of like working up to it, so we could have a good final spot. I made the same calculation, and I think I'm leading by 1 point. Because this uses his drop week, and so he kind of like gets 51 points or something. Yeah, I'm looking for the spot. It's a great track, and it's for the championship win. It's going to be great.
Well, from our perspective, it looked like a pretty clean romp up there. It was. Did it feel easy from your part to go lights to flag today?
Yeah, I got into rhythm, and then it was just doing as I had practiced. I had practiced in the same weather as the race happened to be, so yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that weather. I mean, what did it feel like out there? Because it was 100 plus Fahrenheit. I think the highest I saw it during the race was 109 degrees. Did it feel pretty slippery?
I think with this car, if the track is harder, yeah, it sure has less grip, but I think the car is less snappy and more understeery, so it's kind of like easier to pull a proper 4-wheel drift if the track is hot. You're not so fast, but it's easier.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying on that one. It totally makes sense to me as well. Congratulations, Topi, and best of luck when we head off to the finale next week.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
That was Topi Kortaniemi, your victor here today, and it looks like Christian has caught up with Sébastien Tixier, who had quite the adventure.
Steb, a great P2. It was amazing watching you come back through the field and that awesome battle that you had with Mick and Ove there. In past seasons, if it wasn't for Topi, that would have been your first win in the broadcast race on a Saturday. But What happened off the line? You just look like you made no getaway at all, really.
It's a new strategy because I bin it every race, so I thought if I bin it at the start, it would be better than the bin it in the last lap.
Well, it did work out. It has to be said. I mean, we had a great time watching you race back up through the field, and honestly, at the end of lap 1, you weren't really that far behind. But great pace today, and with Spa next week, do you think that you're going to be able to maintain this form? Do you think you can get in that battle for the race win with Topi, or do you think he's just got a little bit too much of an advantage?
Well, for this race, first I wanted to say that actually it feels like a victory for me because like battling with Mick and Ove and finishing in front of them, it feels like a victory. So Topi is like the alien in front, and then we normal people have our race behind. So yes, I really like this track, but if Brandon is back and Topi will be super motivated, I think it will be like here, those guys in the front and normal people battling at the back.
Well, you mentioned about the normal people battling, and honestly, halfway through the race, we totally forgot as well. We were talking about it as though it was a battle for the race lead, and you mentioned before that obviously in past seasons, it really would have been. You know, we're so used to seeing yourself, Mick, Ove, Togo fighting at the front of the field. And it's kind of I actually feel a little bit bad for you because I thought it was such a great drive after the start that it was very, very deserving of a race win. So I'm glad that you feel like it felt like a race win because it was such a great drive. In terms of kind of Spa, you got any thoughts on that? Do you kind of like do you like Spa for a start?
Yeah. I think if you remember, my first podium on the broadcast was at Spa. I really like this track. Usually I'm like Silverstone, and here I'm faster comparatively on like F1 track, like flat track, where I can have like faster turns. I'm bad at slow turns. So yeah, Spa, I think, I really like Spa. I don't know if you will be that good, but I really like this track.
Good stuff. And before we let you go, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to today?
Congrats Topi for the win and Mick for the podium. And thanks to the community again and the broadcast. And yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you for coming and chatting with us. Congratulations on the second place.
Thanks.
Then it looks like we got third place finisher Mick Claridge ready to talk to us. Mick, welcome back to the races once again, but we heard from Sebastian's take on that battle. What about yours? It seemed like you had fun out there from what we could hear over the radio.
Oh yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah. I wasn't going anywhere near Topi today, and I couldn't have anyway. He was too fast anyway. And then I was in no man's land between Topi and Uwe and Seb, and I saw them pretty close. So I thought I'll go back and have a fight with those guys. And I knew Seb was just quicker than me in all the practice sessions we had, so I knew it was going to be a good fight. So I was sort of easing off, and I've got this problem with my hands at the moment. So I thought, I don't really want to be wringing the steering wheel's neck, trying to drive around today. So I just wanted to take it easy, and so I saw I was taking it easy, and then when Seb got in front of me, that was it. I was on the limit of trying to catch him again, so it just all went back to normal racing how it is. But yeah, it was brilliant. I loved that fight. It was such a great fight. Really good. I knew Uwe was going to be all over me on the last lap as well, so yeah, really trying my best just to hold him back there at the end.
Yeah, we heard you talk about having to deal with your hands. Does that make you feel like you might not necessarily be a factor when we head to Spa next week? Because it's going to be a championship battle, and I'm sure that's a little nerve-wracking knowing that you could maybe be a wrench in it for either of them.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to Topi today. I mean, look at Barber this season. So yeah, no, I'm not even going to race, I don't think, just because of that reason. And I want to give these hands a rest anyway. I just wanted to, just come back and have a bit of fun with the guys, not sort of take it too serious and not get involved in any sort of pain, with anyone.
Well, it's always a joy to have you back, at least for a little bit in the car, and hopefully we'll get to see you a little bit more later. And well done on returning with a podium.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Yeah, I should be back next season, so yeah, looking forward to it.
That was Mick Claridge, third place finisher. And I believe up next, Christian has caught up with Cam Porter. Can't wait to hear his talk about what was an incredible bit of speed from him today.
Yeah, Cam, we were talking about it during the race, and we need confirmation from you. Is that your first top 10 in the series? We believe it is your first top 10, especially in the broadcast race on Saturday.
In top split broadcast race, that is my best finish. Yes, I did have a second split win at Nürburgring last season, so I don't know if you guys count that or not, but yeah, I'm so thrilled with the 9th place today. Oh my gosh, when I was behind Yuri and Laust and Zoko, I'm like, do all these guys have damage? What is going on? But I guess maybe this track just clicked with me. I enjoy this track, and I really had fun today.
Yeah, it definitely looked like the pace was there. Obviously, you started with a pretty good qualifying. You were 18th. You made some ground in the early laps, and then you ran around about 11th for the majority of the race. But we were thinking that you might get the top 10 before there was a little incident up ahead of you, just on pace, because the race pace was really, really good today. I would count the Nürburgring. Yeah, exactly. And I would count the second split Nürburgring win. I mean, it's the Nürburgring. So yeah, I would say this is probably equal with that. But we were certainly very, very happy to see you inside the top 10 there.
Thanks, guys.
We're actually kind of pulling for you a bit, I think. We didn't want misfortune on anyone ahead, but we were kind of hoping that you were going to be able to get it. So we were really happy to see that. Now, any chance of a repeat at Spa next week?
I don't know. I really enjoy Spa, and it tends to be good to me. And yeah, I kind of have high hopes now after this race and going into Spa in the last race of the season. So I'm looking forward to another good result.
Well, sounds good. And it's been a while since we've had a chat with you. So is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to?
I want to wish my brother Timothy Porter a happy birthday today. So love you, bro.
That's pretty awesome. And he finished on the lead lap. He was able to hold off Pangrazi for that 26th spot. So happy birthday to Tim from us as well. And once again, congratulations on the top 10, man. We were so happy to see that you pulled it off, and we hope that we'll see you there again next week.
Sure, looking forward to it.
That was Cam Porter, steadily improving up to 9th. And also, Ben Zoko improved a bit today, only by 1 position, but had a lot of action out there. Let's start with the very beginning. Ben, you seem to have a bit of a wild start. You narrowly avoided the big one erupting behind you, and then suddenly you plowed a little bit through that first corner. Were you aware at any point during the race that you had lost the nose of the car from that incident?
Yeah, instantly. I even swore out loud as soon as it happened, because I saw the cars coming together up ahead, and I knew that it was one of those situations where you're going to have to stop pretty much there was cars stopping in front of me pretty much, so I had to, it was either come to a complete stop and risk getting hit from behind, or take to the runoff, and I did that, and I thought, okay, well actually this shouldn't be too bad. I can just slot in and manage the slowdown that I'd get from it. And I slowed down for the sausage curb, so I thought I hit it pretty slow, and I think I was on the brakes when I kind of hit it as well to try to keep the front end down, but it just lifted up and took everything off, and I was worried that I'd have some sort of suspension damage as well, so I was pretty angry at that point. But thankfully the only damage that it did was that it felt like I could not get any benefit from a draft. There was a race at 23:30 GMT, which was this morning for me, and the draft was kind of strong enough to get you in position to make a move into turn 1, but I couldn't. People were pulling away from me. I mean, there was a bit of a draft train, but yeah, that was the only issue with the extra cooling that I gave myself, and that was frustrating, and obviously sort of I didn't end up losing too many places, and I think I ended up fighting with the same people that I would have anyway if I'd had a normal start, I suppose. So I really enjoyed the battle with everyone I was battling with out there. Yuri and and Bill, and especially Gwen. We had a race again earlier this morning, my time, which she managed to win with a last lap move into turn 1, and we had some battles there too. I potentially threw away the win in that one with a half spin, trying to overtake as well. But no, this race was just full of excitement, so I don't even really care what position I started or finished or whatever. It was, we had some side-by-side battles. I could see Bill had some good pace up there, and I think without the damage I could have been, ifs and buts, I could have been up there battling for the position that Bill ended up finishing in. But also the pace between us was also equal. Anything could have happened, and there was some great side-by-side battles. Full respect to all the drivers in those battles.
Yeah, it was a joy to watch from our end, because all 4 of you seemed to be really just embroiled in that fight all race long. Do you feel like you're going to get a repeat next time out with Spa, or is it going to be maybe a little bit easier with the slipstream helping you keep up and maybe even get an overtake, barring another nose incident?
Yes, exactly. Spa is good for it, I guess, in some ways similar F1 track, where I thought there was going to be less passing opportunities here like there was on the old tyres, but I think this, like what Topi was saying about the hot track, there was still the ability to pass and go. Well, it's hard to pass, but you go side by side and have some fun. So I would be expecting similar levels of intense, close battles at Spa. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make that race. There's something on. I don't know if I'll be attending or not. I'd hope to be there because Spa's in my top 5, favourite tracks. Equal top 5, I'd say. I can't really pick a favourite. So yeah, I hope to be there, and I'd hope to be in the same kind of intense battle with the same people again.
Well, we definitely hope to see it. We love when you get to show up and race hard, especially with your style of racing in the 49s. Congratulations, at least on the top 10, and look forward to seeing you in Belgium.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Has been Zoko, 8th today, and wrapping up our interviews as well. So we, of course, want to give a big thank you to the Lotus 49 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage, but also a thanks to the team today, Rob, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. Next race, as we mentioned, the season finale will be at Spa-Francorchamps Saturday, September 3rd at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. But be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here, because up next, the Camel GT Series goes to Sonoma at 1 p.m. That'll be U.S. Eastern time. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.